Fantasy versus reality. We see it every day in deer hunting, whether we're talking on social media, watching TV, reading magazines. There's definitely two different camps. This is Deer and Deer Hunting TV.
This is where it all begins.
My best hunting day ever. This is Deer and Deer Hunting TV. Okay guys, let's cut the nonsense. You know, Fantasyland, it's fun to watch on TV, but it's not reality. It's not what you or I experience out in the woods on a normal, every given day. Fantasy is fun. We can talk about passing bucks up. We can talk about managing for age and age structure and different types of things. But when it comes to your deer hunting, is that reality? I'm gonna say probably not 99%. It's not for me. I get to do this on TV sometimes. I get to live that fantasy land, but every day at home, for me, it's small properties, high pressure, and really spooky whitetails.
For the everyday hunter, deer hunting can be broken down into three things: means, time, and desire. Those three factors will likely dictate how you approach the hunt and the months leading up to the hunt. Let's take a look at each one.
Means. Now, I'm not talking about money. A lot of times it has to do with money. You know, can you afford a lease? Do you have money to buy land or get permission on land? What I'm talking about means for deer hunting, for the most part, is the means of the property itself. What types of deer does that property produce? And for most of it, it's nothing like what you see on TV. It's not these thousands of acres of managed land where you have 4- and 5-year-old bucks at your disposal and you get to just pick whichever one you shoot. Means for most people is, do I have deer on the property? And what types of bucks can I realistically expect to have on that property? That's number one. Number two is time. Do you have the time to hunt like they do on TV? Like the guys you read about and the guys you watch. You know, they basically have given up everything else in their life to do this, to manage deer for older age classes and things like that. Do you have that time? And thirdly, do you have that desire? Desire is the key component here. Do you really want it that bad? Sometimes, you know, I don't. You know, I just want to go out and I want to have fun, and I don't have the desire to sit there and hold out for a 3 or a 4 or a 5-year-old buck. I've got other things I want to do. I might want to go fishing with my kids. I might want to go rabbit hunting. There's other things in fall that we look forward to that some of us just, you know what, we're going to take what we get when it comes to deer hunting. Boy, these bugs are just horrible. I don't know if that's coming through on that film or not.
Oh, it is. Coming up next, Dan explains how to gauge what's realistic for the property that you hunt. You're watching Deer and Deer Hunting TV. Applying what you've now considered as far as your means, time, and personal desires when it comes to hunting, The next phase in building a realistic whitetail strategy has to do with understanding your surroundings. No one property is the same, but if you're able to take a bird's-eye view of the area that you plan to hunt and collect some basic information about it, you'll be that much closer to not ending your hunting season in disappointment.
So now we've decided how we want to approach the hunt. There's three other things. There's property size, there's deer population expectations, and there's what is realistic on the property that I hunt. So let's talk about property size for a minute. If you're a normal guy or gal and you're hunting a small property, I'm talking 10, 20, 40, 60 acres in any town USA, chances are what you're gonna see is you got a lot of pressure around that property, other guys and gals who like to hunt. So that's something that you have to weigh here. What is realistic for the property that you're hunting? An easy way to gauge that is simply taking a bird's eye view of your property. Get up in an aerial view of your property and just envision that tree stand. Now look at the surrounding properties. What's around you? How many other hunters? How many other properties touch the property that you're hunting? How many people does that include? You know, could it be 10 or 20 or 30 other bow hunters in a square mile around you? That should really dictate how you're approaching your property. I'm not saying don't hold out for a buck if you don't want to. If you want to do that, by all means do that. But from a reality standpoint, you have to understand, do those deer even exist where you hunt? And if those deer do exist, what are the odds that there's going to be more? So I always say, make sure you have a deer factory nearby. And what do I mean by a deer factory? That means, is there an area where you live? Is it a large landowner who is a huge QDM guy and he's not killing a lot of deer off his property, that's producing a lot of deer, and you're getting some of that spillover, that residual effect? Do you have that? Then you're gonna temper your expectations off of that. Because you know, like, yeah, I can hold out because I know so-and-so has 800 acres up the road and they don't shoot anything. And I know that if I hold out through the first 3 months of deer season, there's a good chance I might see one at the end of the season. If that deer factory doesn't exist, if you take that bird's eye view and you look and you know what, all around me is just 40-acre parcels, 20-acre parcels, lots of hunters, small parcels. I mean, I see it everywhere in Wisconsin and Michigan and Georgia, in New York and Pennsylvania. I see this a lot. Areas with high hunter densities, guys get so frustrated because they're like, I can't do what they do on TV. No, you can't, because it's simply not possible. So if you rein in those expectations, or you understand what your odds are, I think you're going to be a lot happier of a hunter at the end of the year.
And every year, Dan does just that in his home state of Wisconsin. Dan only owns 5 acres of land, most of which is not able to be hunted. He relies on the old-fashioned ways of doing favors for neighbors, hunting public lands, and utilizing what means and time are available to him to create the best possible scenarios. Here, Dan is hunting on a neighbor's property after offering to buy him some food plot seed and help install some new blinds. He only has 3 personal days to hunt, so he remains realistic about what kind of deer may or may not give him an opportunity.
Now that is an encounter that everybody in America hopes for. You know, we're spoiled. I get to do this a lot and I get to do it all over. But I've never forgotten my roots. That buck right there, there's 11 million whitetail hunters and I'm one of them who's very excited that we might have just punched our tag. him, yes! Right there. We got him. We got him. We found a buck. Right there, that's the type of buck that I'm hunting at home. Because I might only have a day or two to hunt, and that deer is perfect for where I'm hunting here at home. But now, listen, hey, I will admit I am blessed and I am more fortunate than a lot of other people because this is what I do for a living. I've worked for deer and deer hunting for 25 years. And I have opportunities to experience what we call that fantasy land. And part of that is every year when I hunt with Steve Bartilla down in Illinois on a property he manages. But now I call it fantasy land, but at the same time, I don't get to do whatever I want. Steve gives me a list and he calls them management bucks. Basically, it's like, here are some bucks that are going to be surplus bucks that the landowner doesn't have interest in hunting, so I get to hunt those. And we base that off of age, and we base that off of antler size to an extent, not so much, but we base it off of age. And you know what? That's where I get to experience some of these other types of hunting.
He's gonna come out right here. He's coming around the corner. My God, that's a big deer. Yeah, that's him.
So as easy as that. I mean, I didn't have to wait. I knew this was a deer on the list. I wasn't going to be picky, I'll tell you that.
Take him right here, right here. I got him. He's going down. We just got Fat Albert. He's down. We just got him. He is down right there. We just got, oh my God, we got the big buck. He's a big nine frame. He's a big frame 9. They call him Fat Albert. He's huge. Oh my God, that might be the heaviest buck I ever shot. He's dead. He's laying right there. He's not going anywhere. He's done. Yes. The thing about hunting deer when you have to go after specific deer and you're going to name them, the reason why you name them is because you want to be sure you're getting the deer you're going after. Now, this is really, geeky deer management when you have this kind of luxury. But what you do is you look at the rack, you make mental notes of the rack, and then you look at body characteristics, and then you give them a name because, there was 4 8-pointers out here. We can't just say, well, 8-pointer 1, 2, 3, 4. We gave them names. That's why we do it. And this one got his name because he was so fat. Fat Albert is dead. Long live Fat Albert. What a beautiful buck. Boy, that is a beautiful buck. A lot of people ask me, what's the most important thing for deer hunting? Is it what I plant in my food plot? What type of bow or gun do I shoot? What time of the day I go hunting? What's the barometric pressure? That stuff has a place in deer hunting, and it can mean the difference between success and failure.
But the most important thing in deer hunting is knowing the land that you're hunting on. And this starts with scouting. It's all about scouting. Knowing that land like the back of your hand and knowing how the deer use that land throughout the year. It could be a food plot, it could be a farm field. When I'm talking in those terms, trails can give you some of the best information that you could ever get about how deer use a property. If you have the luxury of a property where there's definitive deer trails, you can see how the deer are using it. Now, how do you hunt those areas? More scouting. If you have any experience in deer hunting whatsoever, you'll know that if you have a well-worn deer trail and it's coming through the woods and it's going to a food source, 9 times out of 10 or 9.9 times out of 10, if you have a stand in that situation, you're not killing a big buck. You're gonna see a lot of does and fawns and insubordinate bucks, and they'll be using those trails. The big bucks use what we call tertiary trails. They're these little trails that come off of those main trails. So what I've always done throughout my life hunting is if I find a trail, I always say, get a bird's eye view, back myself out, and find out about the immediate area around that trail and how a big buck might come into that area. That's key for scouting.
I'm headed on to my next hunt in Montana. Now, regardless of where I'm going hunting, I am super sensitive to making sure I'm not scented by any big game animal, especially deer. So in preparation, I use Scent Killer Gold. I spray all my equipment down, my clothing. I use the Scent Killer laundry detergent. But what about all these spaces you have? The cabin you're going to be staying at, maybe even the tent, the cab of your truck, all the interior spaces of your bags. Well, Wildlife Research Center has attacked that problem too. They've created Scent Killer No Zone. It's a spray that actually, well, it attacks different scents that are in these spaces and gets rid of them. Now, it does that with ozone-free technology. Spray your area down. It eliminates all the scents, and you don't have to worry about what's lingering in the air or in your bags, in your backpack, in your closets, anywhere you are storing your gear. And for the rest of your gear, you can use Scent Killer Gold. That spray will actually last on your gear for up to 20 days. And that's important, especially when you don't have time to be totally spraying stuff down every minute of the hunt. Packed, scent-free, headed to Montana.